Recently, we sailed Disney Wish, Disney Cruise Line's newest ship and a new class of ship, setting sail for the first time in July of 2022. Disney Wish is the line's largest ship at 144,000 gross tons and a maximum capacity of 5,555 guests. This is our first time on Disney Cruise Line in over 7 years, so we wanted to see the latest and greatest that Disney has to offer. We're invited on this cruise by our friends and partners over at Touring Plans Travel as part of the Disney Dish on the Disney Wish Group cruise. You can check the links below for the podcast, which is my favorite Disney podcast. I don't know about Larissa, as well as links to Touring Plans Travel. They plan our travel and can help you travel smarter too. In this video, we're going to talk about our experience on the Disney Wish, from the embarkation process to dining, onboard accommodations, entertainment, the layout of the ship, and more. We're going to share our thoughts with you. Let's start with what we didn't do. This was the first Disney Cruise Line sailing where fully vaccinated guests were not required to test for COVID-19, so that sped the process up a little bit. We checked in ahead of time via the DCL app and it went fine, but Disney does bounce you to another site for vaccine info, and in general, we found it a little more confusing and cumbersome than other cruise lines. Still, everyone seems to have made it through just fine, though several of us commiserated about the experience. Once we got to the port, it was around 1 p.m. because that's the time we were assigned in that app. It was probably the most organized embarkation that I recall of any cruise line. We've been to ones that are faster on really small ships. A lot of the time now, they're very refined experiences, but this was just like butter. It's a beautiful facility in Port Canaveral, just east of Orlando. It's not any different from when we've been there in the past, 7+ years ago, but it doesn't need to be. It's a really nice terminal and works very well. We did check for upgrades at the port. This is an option that DCL gives you, but there were none at the pier. We did hear some folks say on board that they were able to get them once boarding the ship after asking, though as occupancy rates continue to increase, this will probably be less and less of a factor anyway. Once through the terminal, we stepped on board the Disney Wish for the first time, and they welcomed each family on board by name, something it's very a signature Disney thing.
Disney Wish, please welcome on board the Meyer family.
It is kind of cool. It does feel very welcoming.
Definitely. And then we made our way to our room, which was ready right away, which I always appreciate. We had the most economical cabin because that's what we're given.
I'll take it.
Yeah, either way, Disney rooms have always been really comfortable, the staterooms on Disney ships. They usually do have split bathrooms, but this one didn't. Other categories on the ship do, though. Split bathrooms, for those who haven't sailed Disney before, it's usually they'll have one bathroom that's going to have a shower and a sink, and the other one has a sink and a toilet. The one with the shower also has a tub. The bed was the most comfortable I've had on any ship short of Oceania.
The bedding in general, the duvet, everything, it was really comfy.
It was perfect, so A+ on that. I thought it was a great room overall.
Yeah, I was very comfortable in there. There was good fit and finish. It was lovely. There was a little less storage, though, than on past DCL ships that we've been on. Don't get me wrong, plenty for 2 people for a 3-night cruise, a 4-night cruise, that'd be fine. It might have been tricky if you had 3 or 4 people, and that was the capacity of the room on a 7-night cruise. Other rooms, perhaps that's not as much of a factor. The bathroom was very functional and great for the size. There was even, I like this, a switch for the night light. I don't like when night lights stay on and you can't turn them off because the light bleeds through and annoys me when I'm trying to sleep. Speaking of that, just outside the bathroom, the thermostat had a very bright light, but we were able to tape that up with some electrical tape and a card. This room, you mentioned the split bathrooms. This room still did have a small shower tub combo. And that's really handy if you're traveling with small children. Do keep in mind, though, that means it's a bit of a step in. Check out our cabin tour video for a full view of our cabin. We talk a little bit more about it there. We'll put it in the links below. And of course, before that, make sure you click like, subscribe, and ring the bell to see more of our cruise content on Disney and other cruise lines.
Yep, so talk about dining, I guess.
Everyone's favorite
Everyone's
topic.
favorite topic. So Disney has a rotational dining concept. It's a little bit different than what you'd encounter on other ships with the main, where there's a main dining room that you go to. It allows you to see all of the restaurants because they have unique theming and decor, and also unique menus. And they have shows as well, but you still keep the same dining time and the wait staff. So we dined in 1923, Marvel, and Arendelle. 1923 was our favorite, I think, for the ambiance. Marvel had a really cool show. It was Avenger themed. We don't really know the characters, so I feel like it was less for us.
I thought it was neat.
It was
if we were
cool.
into Marvel stuff, I'm sure we would have thought it was amazing.
I like Paul Rudd. He was on the screen a lot. Good enough. But Arendelle was hands down, I thought, the best menu out of the rotational dining. They had a lot of vegetarian options. The show was really cute and fun, but they need better sightline adjustments, and some of the lighting wasn't that great. So it wasn't as easy to see as it should.
Yeah, and as you can guess, Arendelle being about Frozen, specifically Frozen 2, we talk about that in the vlogs. So check out those videos. But really liked it. Just wish we could have seen better. Where we saw everything very clearly and my eyes were open was in Palo. So there are two specialty restaurants. Both of them are adults only on Disney Wish. One is Palo, the other one is Enchanté. Palo is adult-themed fine dining. It's $45 per person for a prefix menu, or you can order a la carte. It's a bigger menu than I recall having in Palo on other Disney ships, because that one is on, I think, all of the other Disney ships. It's a bigger menu this time around. I don't know if that's a fleet-wide change or just on this ship, but it was wonderful. There is some theming, but it's very gentle, light. We'll talk about that later. Enchanté is Lumiere themed, and Palo is themed with Cogsworth, the clock from the Beauty and the Beast. Just outside of these two restaurants was the Rose. This is my favorite lounge on the ship. And it carries on with that Beauty and the Beast theme. The Rose, you can kind of derive from that. If you want to see some of the Rose, what we drank there, some of what we ate in Palo and the other restaurants, and in general, check out the links below for a two-part vlog from this cruise.
The Rose was great. The one thing that I felt was missing a little bit in that space is that I like live music in bars. And
I tried singing.
But they did play really nice music, actually, even though it wasn't live. The background music that was
But there
playing
was live
great.
music in other places.
There was. And the Bayou was one of the venues that had it. So this is a Princess and the Frog themed space. It was a lounge I was really looking forward to seeing. I think the theming was fantastic. It looked really good. And there was a live band there that was great. A Nightingale, though, it was a little bit more tucked away. It was the piano bar, and I just absolutely loved everything about
Nightingale,
that.
Nightingales.
Nightingales, yeah.
Whatever it
not
is.
sure
That was a lovely space overall, and the music was really
The
cool.
pianist was playing Disney songs, but it was like in that kind of jazz style.
And if you check out
nice.
those vlog videos that I was telling you about, Larissa shares some secrets that she learned on a tour. One of them about that venue. So check that out. I'll just keep plugging that. There are also, of course, in terms of entertainment, nightly shows. Disney is known for these shows. There's one on each evening, at least on the 3 nights. I'm not sure about on longer sailings. And we caught just one of them in the main theater, and that was The Little Mermaid. Beautiful theater, I'll say. Really beautiful theater. Neat tech, comfortable seating. I was happy with all that, even though I did accidentally kick a lady when I was going to my seat. Sorry if you're watching. But Little Mermaid, it was a shortened version. It's the full story line, but abbreviated a little bit for the sake of time. And amazing tech in that show. Wonderful performers. We really, really liked it.
There was an extra song.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And Larissa's going to sing it for you right now.
I don't remember it, but there was an extra song I hadn't heard. So.
Another theater-esque venue was Luna. This is a smaller theater. I say smaller, but it still holds probably a couple hundred people and has like an upper mezzanine. It's used for trivia, karaoke they had in there, Disney karaoke, of course, and some other special events, including a podcast recording. We'll talk about that in a moment. We had a few group events, actually, coffee shop, the pool, Castaway Cay. We'll get into those. There was also a pirate party with fireworks. Another Disney signature item is that on Disney Cruise Line, they have fireworks at sea. And it's extra special on Disney Wish because, and I don't know how much of this is them just wanting to plus it versus it being a bigger ship, but they fire fireworks from 2 different places on the ship at the same time, and it felt like there were more than double the amount of overall fireworks.
It made a big difference. It was huge.
Yeah, on other ships, it's neat and pretty. On this, it was just like, oh, it was really cool. Make sure you check that out. It's usually, not always, the night before you are at Castaway Cay, which is another place that we should talk about because that was that was the highlight, the signature stop. That is Disney's private island in the Bahamas. It feels polished, yet rustic and remote. Some of these private islands, they feel very rustic, which is neat. You feel like you're out on this out island. Others, they can feel kind of theme parkish. This is beautiful, a great combination. I really like it. They do run trams to different parts of the island, which is nice, make it really easy to get around. One of those parts is Serenity Bay, which is an adults-only beach. It's quiet. There's a bar. There are hammocks.
My favorite spot.
One time we saw Jack Sparrow there. We hung out. It's no big deal.
Sandbar, so it's kind of nice. You can like.
I didn't even go in the water, but
I love going in the water.
But it's love Castaway. They also do a 5K there. If you're into waking up early and running on vacation. I'm generally not, but I've done it. And the food that they have at Castaway is like island barbecue, like most of the cruise lines do. I think Disney does this a little bit better than most of the other cruise lines. Virgin's the only one that I think really blows everyone out of the water here. But Castaway, the food was okay. There were more options for vegetarians and vegans than I remember seeing in the past. So that was a nice improvement for many.
In the past, they'd brought food to us because they would ask us the night before.
I guess it was so limited for vegetarians and vegans. But this goes back a long time ago.
Yeah, now there's plenty.
I certainly didn't go hungry.
I did not, yeah. It was
I mentioned group events. We had several group events because this was a group cruise, Disney Dish on the Disney Wish, as I mentioned. And one of them was our own 5K. We did this after the main Castaway Cay 5K, never know how to say that. We did it later in the morning though, which made it very hot. If you want to see how I suffered through that, check the vlogs out. It was rough. I felt like Blair Witch Project in the heat at one point. I thought I was going to start crying into the camera. We also had a podcast recording. This was really fun to watch our favorite Disney podcast get recorded live. Even though I know the people that do the podcast, I listen to it all the time. It's still really neat to when you get to see your favorite show come together live. It was very well attended and even had some people that weren't in the group, that weren't sailing with the group, join us in the theater because it was a really cool presentation on the history of the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Really interesting.
And they're famous. It's a famous podcast, no big deal.
Famous friends.
We also had there was a mini gingerbread building contest. You can check that out in the vlog. Just know Len from Touring Plans, he's a cheater. That's all you need to know about that. There was a Run Like a Pirate contest over at Castaway. We did that. It's more like Run Like Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow with a comically large trophy given to the kid who won. I think, if I recall, Len cheated at that too.
Oh, I don't know.
No, he judged that. He cheated on the 5K.
Yeah,
I was like, there's more cheating involved. I remember that.
He dropped the bicycle. It was really bad.
That's right. So not all of our time, of course, is spent on the island. Let's talk about the ship a little bit. There is certainly a Disney element to the ship. That's one of the reasons that you sail Disney Cruise Line. A lot of people wonder about that. I think it comes together really well. I thought it came together on other ships well as well. One of my favorite parts is the Disney music everywhere. It's not that you're going to hear It's a Small World 24/7.
Oh, God,
Great
no.
song the first time, right? In a lot of ways, throughout many of the venues and spaces and events, it's a lot more subtle than that. Often you just hear nice music that fits the mood, and you might not realize until later that it's Disney music.
It was Halloween themed this time. There were a lot of villain songs, and there was a lot of Nightmare Before Christmas because we're sailing during Halloween.
Yeah, not exclusively, but yeah, it's true. They definitely mix more of that in,
enjoy.
especially certain times of the day and in certain places.
Yeah.
There are also a lot of character meets throughout the ship, even more than you'll find in the parks. And of course, the entertainment is all Disney themed. We found on Disney Wish, the Disney element was a lot more in your face than on other Disney ships. It's still tasteful, I think, but I'm a Disney person. I get that I have that slant. It's not a bad thing, it's just different. Do keep in mind if you go because your family likes Disney and you don't want to see any of it, there's going to be a little more than you're used to. However, it's still very subdued and elegant in the adult-only or adult, we'll say adult-focused areas. There, it's you may have to look for it a little bit more. It's more subtle.
Like on the other ships.
Yeah, more like on the other ships. Also on Disney Wish, they have many smaller venues instead of a small number of larger venues. I like this. In fact, I love this approach. This is something that we see on Carnival Mardi Gras, which is their new ship, the Scarlet Lady, Valiant Lady, the ships from Virgin Voyages. But I don't know if it's ideal for short cruises, right?
True.
It's impossible to see it all on a 3-night cruise. That is especially true on this ship. It also made for a bit of a confusing layout, especially when trying to get to the adult areas and restaurants at the aft.
Yeah, I got completely lost at several points throughout the 3-night sailing. So, but Wish they still have Quiet Cove, and they have Cove Cafe, which are the outdoor areas. Cove Cafe is indoors, but it's off of the pool area out on deck. It's a coffee shop. Other DCL ships, though, have adult areas indoors, which I think I like a little bit better. There was kind of an entire zone of sorts where all of the nightlife was, but on Wish, the lounges and bars are kind of mixed in throughout the ship. So it makes it a little unclear if those are for adults or if they're adult only. It was hard to tell in our sailing because there were so few kids on board anyway. But
Not a deal breaker, but I kind of liked it the other way better.
I'm curious to see how it'll play out when there are more kids on board.
Yeah, and on a longer
And how
sailing where
they'll-
people are exploring the space more.
Yeah.
And how they'll enforce things. I'll tell you though, there's one part of this that I think lacked Disney magic, and that everyone, children and adults, had to suffer through, and that's disembarkation. No, sir, I don't like getting off the ship. Disembarkation went fine. There were a few things that we did note, though. For one, they did not use facial recognition. And if you haven't cruised out of certain terminals in the last several years, you may think, what are you talking about? A lot of terminals, it depends on the terminal and the line, use facial recognition, so you don't even see, most people don't even see a customs officer anymore. You zip right through. But Disney wasn't doing this at their home port in Port Canaveral, and I was surprised to see that. There's also a longer line, maybe because of that, really, than expected. It took us probably 40 minutes from the time we stepped off the ship to walking out of the terminal. There were no clear batch disembarkation times like you see on some lines. Again, it all went smoothly. It's just in the last several years, we've seen enhancements to the disembarkation process on other lines, and I feel like Disney could probably learn something from that and improve a little bit.
True.
Overall, we had a wonderful cruise on the Disney Wish, though a short one. We were reminded of how much we like sailing with Disney, and with so much that we didn't get to see on this short cruise, it's a safe bet that we're going to be back for a longer sailing on a new Disney ship in the not too distant future. And when we do, I promise we will share that journey with you. To see more of this cruise, however, check out our two-part vlog series. For tips, information, vlogs, and more from all cruise lines, be sure to check out cruisehabit.com and subscribe to this channel. We look forward to talking ship with you again real soon.